The Chiefs lose to the Bengals.
Mhm.
The Bills go back into the number 1 seed. The Bengals go to 8-4 and stay right in the thick of it right now. So you have, in this AFC playoff race, you have the Bills right now set up to get the bye. So much could change. But the Chiefs and Titans as division winners. You got the Bengals and Ravens going back and forth. You got the Dolphins and Jets still in the playoff seeding as well. They play each other to end the year. There is so much going. And then you still have the Chargers, who will get there too. And the Patriots, those teams have not done themselves any favors to get back into the seeding. Chiefs, Bengals, Trevor. If you have an overwhelming Bengals take, I'd like you to go first, just so I don't steal this whole game, because this was a thriller, obviously.
I do have an overwhelming Bengals take.
Let's fire
my
the
what
cannons.
matters most comes from the Cincinnati Bengals. All of a sudden, the Cincinnati Bengals are 1 game out of the 1 seed.
They are terrifying.
With now the tiebreaker over Kansas City. They will potentially have the tiebreaker over the Ravens because they play at the very end of the year, is the very last game of the year. So depending on what the score is there, because they lost to the Ravens early on, but depending on what the score is and how bad they might beat the Ravens, if they beat the Ravens at the end of the year, I believe that is in Cincinnati. Yes, it has to be in Cincinnati because they've only lost 1 game at home this year, and it was the very first game against the Steelers. They will also play the Buffalo Bills the week before they play the Ravens, so they will have a chance to get the tiebreaker over the Buffalo Bills.
And they're home.
So the Bengals have the ability to get the tiebreaker over, let me make sure I have this right, for every team, including the Miami Dolphins, because they beat Miami in week 4. They are 1 game back of the number 1 seed, and they will have the ability to own the tiebreaker over every team. If Cincinnati gets the 1 seed, I think a lot of the teams in the AFC are in trouble. I talked on this podcast a couple of times before about how incredible home field advantage has been for Cincy over the last year and a half. I believe they've won 7 of their last 8 games at home, going back to last year in the regular season and in the playoffs. And the 1 game that they lost at home was that crazy, weird, didn't make any sense, almost throw it out the window week 1 game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You take that game out and they are perfect at home over the last year and a half. This team is firing on all cylinders. Lou Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. Could be a head coach very soon if he wants to climb that ladder and get to that point. Zach Taylor has figured out this offense. Joe Burrow is playing unbelievably well. They got a 100-yard rusher without Joe Mixon this game. Samaje Perine got over 100 yards in this game. T. Higgins is still an absolute animal, even with Jamar Chase back, and Jamar Chase, of course, proving that he is one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. This team is so damn good. And unless they go up against a defensive line that can get after the O-line bad enough to put Joe Burrow on his butt before he can throw the ball, I don't know how you beat this Bengals team. I just don't know how you beat them. Their weaknesses are so few and far between. So the Bengals are not just a legit playoff team. They are not just a legit division contender. They are a legit Super Bowl contender. I wasn't sure if I was going to get there this year. I thought a little bit of what they did last year was fluky. They're proving that it's not. This is a legit Super Bowl team this year. And as long as they stay healthy, they could absolutely get to the Super Bowl again this year.
I remember how much we preached not to overreact to the Bengals start because Joe Burrow did not have a summer. He did not have a summer.
Mm-hmm. Didn't play in the preseason
September was
at all.
Joe Burrow's preseason.
Yep.
Joe Burrow is unbelievable. And everything is going right for Cincinnati right now. We talked about the Spartan-style defense. No franchise name, right? The Bengals don't have a Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons on defense, Myles Garrett. They have really good players, but they play as a unit as much as anybody. Lou Anarumo from New York. The Bengals. Shout out. So here's why I love more to even emphasize your point before we move on. The Bengals play the Browns at home next week.
Mm-hmm.
Their 2 road games are back-to-back through the rest of the year. At the Bucks, sorry, Trevor. At the Patriots.
Dub.
Then they finish both at home. Bills and Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the argument that the Bengals are the biggest control their destiny team.
Yes, 100%.
Out of any non-1 seed. So 100%. The Bills and Eagles don't count here.
They're a wild card team right now.
They are the biggest control your destiny team in the NFL. That's not a number 1 seed. Yeah. In a sense that I'm betting on them.
What's the Bengals?
And we'll see where Lamar Jackson's injury goes, which is really unfortunate, but it's reality of the situation right now.
What's the Bengals?
All right.
Hold on. What's the Bengals Super Bowl odds right now is plus 1,100. Very interesting.
Not the worst bet.
Very interesting.